Looks like we got a couple people watching out there. How are you guys doing on New Year's Eve 2023? Let yourselves be known if you're in the chat. Ooh, maybe just one watching now. Hey, that might just be me. Just making sure I can keep an eye on the chat here. All right. Well, hey, we might as well just get rolling here. I'm not really sure, if folks are going to be coming in and out here. But hey, we'll just go ahead and proceed as normal. 2023 has been a heck of a year, guys. I guess just going back to the beginning of the year, back in January, I was just about to start a new job selling insurance. So, started doing that and didn't have the best experience at the first spot I was at. But made sure to fill in life with a bunch of other fun activities and whatnot. Going to shows, conventions, watching movies, all that kind of fun stuff. Back in March, my wife and I went to Megadeth with my brother, which was amazing. I hadn't seen Megadeth since like the 25th anniversary of Countdown to Extinction, so that was really cool to check those guys out again. Dave's voice sounded great. The band was amazing. It was a really good time. I think my wife had a way better time than she thought she was going to have at a Megadeth show because she said it was one of the best shows she'd ever been to. She's mostly like a, country kind of gal. Eric Church is one of her favorites. And, she likes like older rock and roll. And she's a huge Chili Peppers fan and also a huge Rolling Stones fan. So she's definitely got that love for rock and roll. But, the metal and like the punk that I listen to are, just a little different. So yeah, it was a great show. Started making some life changes, in April. Just wanted to get in better shape because I just turned 40 back in 2022. So wanted to, just get in better shape. Just started eating healthier, just doing a little bit of exercising here and there. And, from there, cut out drinking, 87 days ago, stopped drinking. So that's been really awesome as far as just my health, physical health, as well as my mental health. I noticed about 10 days to, 2 weeks after I stopped drinking, I just felt so much happier than I'd felt in a really long time. And, I'm talking just like even a drink or two after work. I think just over time, it kind of put me in a fog. And so it was nice to break away from that and, just start to see the benefits roll in. I had so much more energy. I felt like I was getting positive momentum on my side and just felt like, okay, I can achieve some goals I want to achieve. So one of them was starting this YouTube channel, to really get into that. It's something I've wanted to do probably for like 14 or 15 years. I started watching the Angry Video Game Nerd like a lot of people did in the like late early 2000s. Probably that was probably like '06, '07 when I started watching him. And from there just I've been a loyal audience member on YouTube. I've loved so many contributors and so many content creators, and it's something that I've wanted to do for so long and I put off for no real good reason. So I think kind of so a few things happened in my life, and like one of the big things that really opened up a whole bunch of time and energy was to quit drinking. Honestly, I don't know if I'd be able to do YouTube and do that because it just kind of got in the way in a whole bunch of different ways. And I use cannabis every day, so still do that, but haven't drank in 87 days and don't plan on having a drink ever again. So that's been pretty awesome. And uh, so going back to starting the YouTube journey and everything, having it been something I've wanted to do for so long, I decided I would just finally take that leap. Mad Monster here in Arizona on July 10th was a big part of that motivation. Dave McCrae and Bruce Dale put together It's Me Billy. They were crowdfunding for It's Me Billy Chapter 2. these two things were like coinciding, where I was like, I want to, you know, take a bigger role in the community by, you know, kind of getting a bigger perk on this film and supporting it in a bigger way, because I really, really believe in what these guys do. I love the Black Christmas, the original Black Christmas film. I think that these guys have captured like that feel and that look of the original so well, and have a lot of faith in them as creators. So I wanted to, you know, buy that perk to show the community and also show myself that I was ready to take a bigger step. And so that all like coincided right around Mad Monster. I was like, I'm going to become an associate producer on It's Me Billy Chapter 2. I am going to start a YouTube channel, because if I'm going to dive in like this, I have to dive in fully. I don't want to half-ass it. And I don't want to, I felt like I just had stuff to say, and I didn't want to remain anonymous anymore. I felt like, you know, I've put this off long enough. It's time to get out there. I love talking to people in real life. I love having conversations about movies and music, you know, politics, really whatever they're down to have a conversation for. And so I thought, well, maybe there's a little corner here for me on YouTube where I can talk about the things I'm passionate about. I can cover vinyl, other physical medias like comics. I can also review movies that I want to review. I don't know if I'll be, you know, become like a movie reviewer per se, but definitely if there's something I'm interested in, that I have wanted to see for a while and I go to the theater, or if it's something I've been meaning to see for a really long time and haven't quite gotten to yet, I'll check it out. I'll do some sort of video about it, whether it's a scripted review or one of these like stream of consciousness kinds of chats. So yeah, I just felt like I've got a voice. I want to get it out there. I'm going to sign up as an associate producer. I'm going to start my channel. And the biggest motivation for that, honestly, was my wife, Kate. Sorry, one sec. So I was going back and forth with my wife because I'm like, okay, I want to, you know, buy this perk for this film. And she's like, well, you're the one that's going to have to make that decision for that amount of money. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like going back and forth in my own head about it. And she just sort of gave me the nudge and was like, look, it sounds like you want to do this, so why don't you just do it? But the thing is, if you're going to do it, you have to do it all the way. Like, you've got to start your channel. You have to get involved in the community. Like, she pushed me over the edge, was very supportive and encouraging. And I think, you know, when you're married and you feel, I mean, especially, I think, you know, most people that are married feel this way, that the person that they're with is their best friend and their soulmate. And so when you're looking to that person to be kind of like a beacon, or, you know, a lighthouse, like, you know, give me a sign here, like tell me if I'm way off base or tell me to go ahead and do it. So that was really awesome of her. I specifically remember walking around the showroom floor of Mad Monster, you know, just kind of having that chat with her. And so yeah, it was amazing. That day I got to meet Dave McCrae. He was all done up in his Freddy makeup for the pre-screening premiere of Dylan's new Nightmare, which was amazing to see that night as well. But it was great to meet Dave. He's somebody that I've watched on YouTube since 2017, probably shortly after he really started covering all the Halloween stuff. You know, I've told this story a couple times, but Dave was on there and he's speculating over what some of the news might mean. And at first I'm like, who the heck is this guy? Like, I'm trying to figure it out. Like, what does he know? Is he just talking out of his ass, or does this guy really know what's up? And the more I watch Dave, I think like a lot of people that enjoy his channel, is that he does know his stuff, and he has a really passionate way of getting his point across, and he's very animated and a really smart guy. So like, you can tell that he can kind of see things from all angles at once. So he doesn't, you know, if he overacts or overreacts to something, it's sort of like he's doing it up on purpose. But just a guy that really appreciates nuance. And that was one of the things I said to him, that I really, you know, like what he does, because he's able to look at it in that nuanced kind of way. And I think there are more people like that than we know, because I think the people that don't look at it that way just scream louder on the keyboard. But I think when you actually have a conversation with somebody in person, you realize that, you know, those nuanced conversations are a lot easier to have that way. So Yeah, just a big fan of Dave's, and that was another thing that was really kind of inspiring because when I met him, I got to tell him, "Hey, I just became an associate producer on It's Me Billy Chapter 2, and I'm going to start my very own YouTube channel." And he was really encouraging, and he was like, "Well, hey, maybe that this is something new, or this will turn into something for you." It was really sweet what he said, and um, I just went away from that event completely motivated. Watching Dylan's new Nightmare certainly helped. That's how we closed the evening, was to watch that pre-screening of it. And man, it's awesome to see Freddy back. I feel like Freddy's one of those characters. I'm not the hugest Nightmare guy. I'm not gonna like come up here and claim that I'm the biggest Nightmare on Elm Street fan. I'm more of a Halloween and the Evil Dead kind of guy. And I really love the first four Romero films, especially. And I kind of even like Diary of the Dead a little bit. So, but yeah, I'm not going to act like I'm the biggest Nightmare guy. So it just seems, though, that Freddy really got turned into kind of a cartoony joke. And it was cool to see, we know that Wes brought him back to that more level of seriousness in A New Nightmare, but it was cool to see kind of a combination of that New Nightmare feel with a look that was a little creepier, a little bit more of that wet look from Nightmare 2. So that was awesome to see that come back. I thought Dave did a great job playing Freddy. No surprise there, really, because of his voice acting background. And, he has done in front of camera acting as well, but he's mostly known for vocal acting, which, I mean, that makes sense to me. If you're going to hire, find somebody to play Freddy, they should have a damn good voice. And of course, you can always put an effect on there, but what you go into post production with should sound pretty awesome already. And I have no doubt that that Dave brought it that whole production, and really everyone did. Everyone in front of and behind the camera knocked it out of the park with Dylan's New Nightmare. It was the cherry on top of the inspirational Sunday that just made me put out my first video. So my very first video was just a quick non-spoiler review. I didn't want to give anything away, but I wanted to definitely let people know to be on the lookout for this movie when it drops. When it dropped. So yeah, that was the cherry on top of the inspirational Sunday. And speaking of inspiration, gosh, I guess I could just go through and start naming off channels that I've been watching for a long time. I am a nerd about a lot of different stuff. So I like sports, I like politics, I like movies, I like music, I like, comic books, just a whole bunch of stuff. So, gosh, I mean, obviously angry video game nerd. The guys from GameSack, one of the channels I've been watching for a really long time to stick on video games. The Gaming Historian, really like him for video games. Metal Jesus Rocks from the Pacific Northwest, which I'm also from, being from Southeast Alaska. So love the Metal Jesus. And then, movie guys like Drum Dums, Lee from Drum Dums, Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards. Cody Leach. So many guys talking movies. I used to watch Chris Stuckman for a really long time, but his Halloween 2018 review really rubbed me the wrong way. And it's not because he disagreed. It's not because he didn't like the movie as much as I did. I can completely understand, that not everyone's going to love every movie the way that I do. I felt like there was something really venomous in the way that he tore that movie apart, and also misrepresented. There was, I think the real thing where I was sort of like, okay, I'm done with Stuckman, is he said that the bathroom scene in Halloween 2018 was an exact ripoff of the bathroom scene from H2O. And I'm thinking to myself, well, Chris, I don't know if you just didn't write this review. Maybe somebody else wrote it for you. But if you're familiar with H2O, and if you're familiar with the Halloween movies, you'll know that the outcome and the way the scene plays out in Halloween 2018 is just about the polar opposite of how it works out in H2O. And really, the only thing that they have in common is the fact that they're a bathroom scene with Michael Myers. And that's pretty much it. So at that point, I was like, okay, no more Stuckman. But we'll keep it positive here, at least for the most part. Uh, and other movie guys, Thor Skywalker. I love Thor Skywalker's Star Wars coverage. Really enjoy his videos a whole hell of a lot. I watch some reactors. I love watching younger people or people that are younger than me reacting to songs that I grew up with that they've never heard before. Um, I'm trying to. Gosh, I'm having a brain fart here on the first one that I'm trying to think of. But No Life Shack. I really like No Life Shack, especially love the Tom McDonald reactions. Tom McDonald, that's another YouTube. I love Tom McDonald's music. I know he's super controversial, and I think he's to me though he's just the most punk rock act in music right now. Like punk rock in essence, because the music is obviously hip hop, but he is a DIY artist. He writes his own beats, writes his own music. His girlfriend shoots then edits the videos. I would imagine maybe he sends his tracks off to have them mastered, because usually in music you want somebody that didn't do the mix to master the music at the end, just to bring in like a different perspective and kind of tie it all together. So Tom, if you happen to watch this video, let me know who does your mastering. Love Tom's music, love him to death. A lot of times I feel like this is, right where I'm at on the spectrum, as it were. Just like any other artist, certainly, it's tough to say you agree with somebody 100% of the time, or, even with a movie that even if you loved the movie and it's 5 stars, like, is there something you may have changed? Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think that being critical, constructively critical about the things that you love actually makes you a really great audience member, and can even lead to you wanting to create something of your own, because you've sort of figured out what works for you and what doesn't. And it also gives you the chance to sort of articulate why you feel a certain way about that artistic medium, whether it's a painting or a movie or music. I just think I believe this wholeheartedly, that a smarter audience is going to create smarter art, because a smarter audience is going to demand better art. And then the better the art gets, the smarter the audience gets. And we get this awesome cycle of smarter audience, better art, smarter audience, better art. And, of course, it's not like everything's going to get perfect and every movie would be amazing by that at that point. But I think that, with where things are in film right now, and certainly in music, oh my gosh, that the audience needs to be challenging the creators a little bit more. That's just a personal thing. I feel pretty strongly about that, and I think it's one of the reasons why I love these fan films and love supporting everything that they do, because they're directly going to the audience for the funding. So you have to have already convinced that person to pay. It's really cool. It's what Vin has done. Vincent DeSanti over at Womp Stomp Films, what that whole entire crew has sort of kicked off, and then we've seen it benefit other independent creators that are going back to these IPs, these stories, these characters that we love so much, and they're getting the support straight from the fans. And I just think that that's the best way of proof is in the pudding, because if you don't please these people, if you don't listen to them, if you don't give them something that they want because you're a great fan yourself, and you also have the technical ability and the knowledge to shoot it and put it together, then they just wouldn't support the next project. And we've seen these guys just be able to drum up more and more funds every single time, get more ambitious, squeeze more money out of the budgets that they've earned, and that the fans have given them to create these projects. And I mean, just look at how well Never Hike Alone 2 did. It just blew the doors off that Friday the 13th weekend. It was amazing. So, and very well earned and highly anticipated, and very, set up too. So, with Never Hike Alone and then Never Hike in the Snow acting as the prequel, and then being able to finish everything off with Never Hike Alone 2, bringing Tom Matthews back, just one of the most charming performers in all of slasherdom. There's something about Tom's voice that is just so sweet. It's sweet in a way where it's like, how can you not believe that this guy really just wants to do the best and resolve this issue, and that he cares that it can affect people. And I know we're talking silly slashers and everything, but I just really appreciate when a performer brings it and when you can feel that honesty and that sincerity come across in the performance. That's a testament to the performer, and it's a testament to everyone else, the people behind the camera that are setting things up to help capture that image. So the performer gives the vocal and gives everything that they've got to give physically, but it also needs to be captured well, the sound and the visuals, and it needs to make sense and look cinematic for you to sit there and say the things that people say about Never Hike Alone 2, which is, I mean, some people say it's the best Friday. It's their favorite Friday the 13th movie. Favorite. A lot of people, you know, like somebody that feels the way that I do about this stuff, it's like, it's right up there with Jason Lives. Jason Lives is my favorite Friday the 13th film. You know, of course, I love so many. I celebrate the whole franchise, but Jason Lives is my absolute favorite. And then I probably go like Final Chapter and then probably Part 2 after that. But anyways, you know, you see all of this praise for these films, and it's well earned. I'm just going to see if I'm still... Hey, what's up? 42 set hike. Did you come over from That's Good Sports? Are you one of the That's Good Sports folks? I might be a little bit behind because I'm still learning how to do the whole like live stream, hop in the chat thing. So, but yeah, we're talking 2023. It's been quite the journey. Man, thank you so much to everybody that has subscribed. I started this channel in August. I think there was probably like a week between my first two videos, and then maybe like a week or two between the next two. And then there was like a gap of a month where I was having a tough time really getting motivated. And it's, you can kind of tell it sort of coincides with when I quit drinking, is when the production really started like kicking up into higher gear. And yeah, just thank you so much, you guys. When I woke up this morning, I was at like 195, and I just wanted to hit 200 before 2024. So that was the goal. And Lee from Drum Dums, shout out to Lee, gave me a shout out on his live stream. That put me past 200. And then I hopped on over to That's Good Sports, where Brandon Perna was streaming the Chargers Broncos game. Love Brandon Perna. I didn't even get to the sports section of my inspiration. So there's That's Good Sports. Obviously, Tom Grossi comedy. Love what Tom Grossi does. John Boy. Love you, John Boy. I'm a Rich Eisen fan. I may not watch every single episode all the way through, but I got my segments that I like checking out. And most of the time, I really like Rich. I'm also a Michigan fan, so I'm sure that helps. But getting back to Perna, he, you know, just threw out a super chat there, asked him for a shout out. He did that, and holy crap, I went from like 203 to past 320 in a matter of seconds. That's Good Sports fam is awesome. They were so rad to me there. Really appreciate you guys. I see there are 4 people in the chat. Who do we have in the chat? I'm going to drink my mocktail here. And later on, because my voice isn't dry enough from talking, I'll probably smoke this cigar. So, yeah, we'll do that as well. Not on the stream. I'm not going to smoke in the house. It's just no good. But yeah, what else about 2023? Holy crap. Well, you know, early on in the channel, I reviewed Dylan's New Nightmare. I reached out to Cecil Laird from the Horror Show channel. Shout out to Cecil. Hey, what's up, Lux? Lux Media is in the chat. Check out Uncharted, the Oxus Redemption. You can watch it for free here on YouTube. Talk about a fan film that gets a lot of value out of their cash. A lot of production value out of what they were working with. The film looks amazing. I went into the Oxus Redemption not really knowing too much about Uncharted. I played, I think, just the third game a little bit. Not really, so I didn't know too much. So I watched like a 10-minute video to just kind of catch me up on the plot of the series, because I didn't want to go into the fan film without any knowledge. And I had a really good time. You guys know Cosplay Chris. Chris Stanley, he plays Nathan Drake in the film. His accent, and you know, if you know him from watching him on his channel, another inspiration, clearly. You know, so if you watch him on his channel, he's got all his cutesy little kind of cartoony voices he does. So clearly another guy with vocal talent, and his American accent is so good in that film. I wonder, like, I'm curious to know, and maybe I'm guessing it's Daniello in the chat there. I'm curious to know for folks that grew up in another country, or grew up with just a completely different accent than like your American accent. Is it easy? Do you think it's easier to do an American accent for people that live outside of the states than it is for people in the states to do accents of other countries' accents? And I think it's a little easier to do an American accent because there's so much saturation of American media, television shows, music, and film. So like I'm curious to know that. But having said that, still an impressive job by Chris. That accent's great. The film looks beautiful. I'm really excited to see what these guys do with Gotham Noir. That'll be really cool. I've heard that'll be, a little darker, taking a Batman story taking place in the early 1900s. Something I'm very interested in covering and following as it goes along, because I wish that studios took these kinds of risks. I think we're at the point where the comic book fandom it's gotten to be general enough to where you can start taking these chances. People clearly are tired of the standard soup to nuts comic book, movie story. I think the Marvels is big proof of that. And I also think the failure of the DCEU, the fact that they just kind of came later in the game, that people were just sort of over the whole like, oh, this person has a bad guy that's like the antithesis of them, and the bad guy isn't very well developed most of the time. And certainly there are Marvel films that do it better than the rest, but I think something that could kind of reinvigorate the comic book studio films would be to take some of these chances to like, let's look at some of the comics that sold incredibly well, that are way off the beaten path, kind of adjacent, sort of the way that the Batman with Robert Pattinson is not part of the DCEU, and Joker as well, that it takes place outside of, it's like ancillary to the main storyline that they're trying to tell with their extended universe. And thank God those films do not exist in the DCEU, because it's basically dead after Aquaman. Um, and, I think that, yeah, we would just see a return of enthusiasm to comic book movies if they started just taking some more chances. Just give us some stuff that we really haven't seen before. Like, let's go ahead and get that Spawn film going. Like, if you're gonna do X-Men again, and you're gonna try to do the Dark Phoenix story, like, actually do the Dark Phoenix story from the comic. It's perfect. I don't know why they keep on messing with that. The closest we've gotten to that story, visual other than the comic, would be the animated TV series. Did the best job so far. So, yeah, looking forward to what Lux Media puts out here with Gotham Noir. And yeah, just wanted to see who else was in there. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Cecil from the Horror Show, I reached out to him, getting back to where we were before. Reached out to Cecil because I wanted to interview him at an upcoming, there was, after Mad Monster, about a month and a half later, there was another convention, the Gathering of the Ghouls in Mesa. So my wife and I live out in Goodyear, Arizona, which is in the West Valley of Phoenix. Mesa's in the East Valley. So really it's just a drive across town. It's not too bad. So got some tickets to go to that. Cecil was nice enough to agree to do an interview with me, and, just thought about what kind of questions I want to ask him about Dylan's New Nightmare, filmmaking in general, just kind of pick his brain about what would, be coming next. And when I show up to the event, he's like, well, hey, Vin is here. And he may want to get in on the interview. And I'm like, oh my God, Vin is like a absolute rock star to me, and at this point I'd never even talked to him. So I've seen his films and never spoken with this guy, and thinking, man, this guy is like as professional as it gets in this world. It's his demeanor, the way he carries himself, and the product he puts out there. So kind of intimidating. And especially because I only had questions prepared for Cecil. So I had like really specific kind of creative questions about the filmmaking process and Dylan's new nightmare, his thoughts on, the return of legacy characters in horror, which is something that Dylan's new nightmare did really well. And I hope that they can really score something big with the follow-up. So if you guys haven't seen Dylan's new nightmare, please absolutely check that out. If you're watching this on a replay, then I'll leave the link in the description so you guys can check that out. And I'll also just go ahead, while we're here, I'll drop the links for the It's Me Billy and the teaser trailer for It's Me Billy Chapter 2. And I'll also drop all of the stuff, all of the links for Womp Stomp's Never Hike Alone series and all those channels. So, yeah, after that interview, I think right after that happened, I dropped my big comprehensive review of Dylan's new nightmare that went into spoilers and all that stuff. And then I wanted to try a few other things out on the show. So I basically just thought to myself, well, what else am I passionate about? And the answer was music. And then from there, I was like, well, physical media, there are a lot of people that really love collecting physical media and they like sharing it too. And I'm like, I'm totally into that. I'm one of those guys that, when I was a little kid and your friends come over, you want to show them like all your cool comics and all the video games that you have that, maybe they don't have. And then you go over to their house and you get to, do vice versa. So I was like, well, I'm going to do something. With all my show titles, I'm just going to try to be really simple and straight to the point. And I'm going to try to make sure that they're not like, word for word a show that already exists out there. So I was like, well, I'm just going to do something called the Physical Media Show Off Show. And for the first handful of episodes, it was essentially just vinyl. I'm really passionate about vinyl. I absolutely adore it. The way that it sounds can't be beat. And I love just big physical media. I love being able to pull the record out, pull out the liner notes, any of the other goodies that they put in there. I love special edition, like limited release vinyl that's like colored or spackled or whatever. I don't know what it is. They are like my Funko Pops. I used to collect baseball cards and hockey cards and stuff. They've replaced that. A little more expensive, but I think a lot more fulfilling in the end because you can listen to them and look at them. So anyways, the first few episodes of the Physical Media Show-Off Show were mostly vinyl. I noticed that those just didn't do as well as the movie reviews and all that. And, when you're so new to doing something like this on YouTube, you're kind of like, you just need to keep it up. I couldn't let myself get discouraged because I'm like, well, yeah, they didn't do very well, but at that point I had like 50 followers to like 100 followers or something. And hey, what's up? My wife just came in. So yeah, you just can't let yourself get discouraged. You have to keep on pushing ahead and just, at some point maybe you do move on from it, but you have to like hold that belief for long enough to just really see if if it is something that grabs people in the end. So I guess that's my newcomer advice to any other newcomers is just stick with it and don't get discouraged too quickly. And here's my wife, Kate.
Hey.
You have to get closer.
Oh. Hey.
So, and the cats are coming in and moving the lights. Oh my gosh. Everyone, we have 3 cats. They're basically our children and they act as such. They are going to be kids forever. As long as they don't chew on the cables, we're okay. So yeah, Kate's the one that, I told you about earlier here in the stream that she, pushed me over the edge as far as, being encouraging and supportive on starting the channel and everything. So thank you so much, sweetheart.
Of course.
And, yeah, why don't you tell everyone real quick, what is it like being the wife of a new YouTuber? Has life gotten more difficult? Tell us all about it.
It's changed for sure. I don't think it's more difficult. Oh, you want me to get closer?
You have to get closer. Yeah, you have to talk into the
But
mic.
it definitely was a big adjustment that I didn't really see coming. But I mean, Davey's pretty great. I never have to ask him to do much. We split the chores and stuff. So, but yeah, I guess it's just I have a lot more time to myself, which I don't have a problem with. But yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment for sure. But it's so exciting every time, like if I wake up from a nap or, um, come back in the common area from doing something, he'll like tell me how many more subscribers he has or something like that. So I'm so proud of
Yeah,
him and really excited for him.
I
Yeah.
obsessively and shamelessly keep track of all of that. So, yeah, and I guess well, more time for you means less time listening to my loud, obnoxious music or even my loud, obnoxious voice because I have a volume control issue. But the mic helps out. The Rode Procaster, folks, it is the way to go. Yeah, so Kate's been spending the day baking a cake.
Oh yeah, I baked a cake. It was supposed to be my Christmas cake, but I just didn't end up making it. So it's gingerbread with a maple glaze, and then I'm gonna go make dinner. But I just
Oh
wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
say hey to everybody.
And Happy New Year, right?
Happy New Year! Yeah.
Isn't she lovely, folks? That's my wife, Kate, and best friend. Best friend, I love being stoner pals with you. Kate and I, everyday cannabis users. Always wait until we're back from work, though. We're pretty responsible about it. But once we put something on, we just, yeah, you just got to get with it.
Yeah, we don't drink much, so
No.
it's kind of our vice of
I'm on,
choice. Yeah.
I just hit 87 days like a couple minutes ago. And then, yeah, we do a lot of, Kate's a big, to give you guys a little more background on like how she jives with all the horror stuff. When I met Kate,
Yeah.
she hadn't seen too much horror, but since then, I mean, it's been one of the first movies we watched was The Evil Dead.
Well, the first movie we watched was Friday the 13th, Part 6.
Yeah, Jason Lives was the first movie we
Yeah.
watched, and then not long after that, The Evil Dead and RoboCop, which isn't horror, but
No.
definitely has like horror elements and all that blood and violence and everything. Certainly.
Being from Detroit, had to watch it.
Yes, Kate grew up
Yeah,
in Michigan.
Evil Dead, I fell in love with pretty quickly. Yeah. I love Jason, but I really love the Scream franchise too.
Yeah, yeah. Kate's big in
It's not all great, but I have an appreciation for each part of it, I guess, except for the newer ones. But we want to flesh that out and talk about it more. So.
Yeah, there's not a stinker. I don't think
Yeah.
any of them are bad. I think that, yeah, with the newer ones, they could have done a way better job. I would say the newer ones, it's like the first 2/3 I like, and the last third, and each movie kind of falls flat. But yeah, we are. Hey, maybe this will push us over the edge for our show because
Hold us accountable.
Yeah. Yeah, the feeder to the fire now. It's going to be called, so Kate and I are going to do a show called Movie Date with Davey and Kate. And the premise of that will be that we discuss a film that both of us are pretty familiar with. And maybe we've got different perspectives, or even that, maybe Kate grew up with it, but when I saw it, I was a little bit older. And so just talk about, where we're coming from as far as our feelings on those movies. And it'll be kind of like this, where it's just an unscripted stream of consciousness kind of chat. So our first episode is going to be the very first Scream movie. So really, it's just about sitting down and doing it and finding the right time. So, but yeah, thank you. I can tell that you're having to crouch down, so I don't want you to feel like you have to crouch forever.
Oh yeah, this was not planned, but I had to come say hey.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Aaron Martin in the chat? Thanks for the positive message and the wrap up of 2023. Have a great 2024. You too, Aaron. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming by. Yeah, I didn't know if folks would drop in, but it's cool to see. We've got some folks that have busted into the chat, and then we've got Kate busted into the vid. So pretty cool. But yeah, are you looking to scoot? Or are you looking to hang longer? Do you want to sit down, or do you want to?
I mean, I'll probably go get going on dinner.
Okay.
Just because we're eating a little bit later, but
For sure.
I feel like more people stay in on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Than go out.
Are you
Am I
guys staying
wrong?
in?
Like what? I feel like everyone I've talked to, no one has plans.
We like to stay in when we can,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
So
I always like to cook us like something nice. We're doing pork tenderloin tonight. So.
yeah, both of Kate's parents are chefs, restaurateurs. All of Kate's parents, all three.
All three of them.
All three.
Yeah.
So Kate comes from that background, and so not only am I super fortunate that my best friend is really fun to hang out with, incredibly beautiful, all that stuff, but she not only is good at cooking and baking, but enjoys doing it. So
Oh yeah.
very fortunate. And a lot of times I'm like, man, I feel like I'm eating restaurant quality meals here. It's pretty great.
Yeah. Cool.
It's awesome.
Glad you like it. All right. See y'all later.
Thank you, Kate. Make sure the cats are all gone. Yeah. So after that interview with Cecil, I'm gonna wet my whistle here again. Pardon me. A little bit after that interview with Cecil, I started doing the physical media show off show. I got just a little more active as far as, you know, just putting out videos in general. And then, you know, one day Cecil reached out to me and was like, hey, man, sometimes with the horror show, it's kind of tough for us to, have somebody available. Like, would you be willing to, come over here and do like a trailer reaction with me? And I'm like, oh my God, that would be amazing. This guy's got like so many subs. If you don't already subscribe to the horror show channel, I would be surprised. He's sitting over 50,000 right now. So if you don't already sub over there, hop on over to the channel, check it out. They cover movies, especially horror films. They cover, just everything within that genre specifically, you're going to get. And Cecil is, talk about a guy that is smart about his subject and that knows storytelling so well. It's crazy. Every time I'm hanging out with Cecil and, we're not shooting or anything and we're just sort of talking about whatever, I feel like almost every time he brings up, he's like, oh, well, I've got this idea for this thing. He has all of these different story ideas that, go way outside of just doing something that's like a fan film. And all of them, he's got like everything laid out. He can just kind of give you the pitch on every single one. It's super impressive. It's really cool to see. And another thing that's really inspiring just to be around people like that, make you feel like just there. It's invigorating to be around that kind of creativity. And especially with somebody that can not only create the idea in their head, but knows how to bring it to life. It's really cool. So yeah, Cecil asked me to go over and do a video. The guys over at Brian and Tony from Scaredy Cast, I met those guys at Mad Monster and started following them. And, they had a day where they were down a crew member or, a panel member, as it were. And they were essentially just like, hey, man, do you want to come do a live stream? And I'm like, oh, okay. When do you want to do that? And they're like, can you do it tomorrow? Or maybe it was this very same day or something like that. I think it was the day before. So yeah, I was like, all right, straight from work, I'm going to go head over to the East Valley. They've got this really cool studio where they do their show at. If you guys don't already sub to Scaredy Cast, I'll drop that link as well. Definitely worth checking out. These guys have great chemistry, the exact kind of nerds that you want to hang out with. I felt like every time, the few times I've been around those guys, it's just like hanging out with old buddies from high school. It's just like we can just talk about whatever, like we've known each other for years, really comfortable. And that certainly comes across in their shows. I think they cover a lot of, they go through film, talk about current film, talk about older film, and then they like to go into like the cryptozoic kind of stuff. So, talking about Bigfoot, they go to haunting locations, all that good kind of stuff. So yeah, this was in the fall. I'm like, oh my gosh, well, Cecil's asking me to be on here on the Horror Show channel. The Scaredy Cast guys invited me on, and then Cecil invites me back, and we started doing reviews of films. We went and caught Thanksgiving was one of my first press screenings. 5 Nights at Freddy's. Cecil will be happy that I got the title right that time. Third time's the charm, Cecil. 5 Nights at Freddy's. I think that was the first press screening. That was really a really cool experience because people shut the hell up in press screenings. Like you don't hear anyone talking. You don't hear any of it. You don't see screens. And if you see a screen light up, somebody from the stairs goes, please turn off your phone. Or they'll kick you out. It's awesome. So yeah, that was really cool. And Thanksgiving, holy crap, Thanksgiving was such a good time. I adore that movie. I am a huge 80s slasher fan. Thanksgiving reminded me of My Bloody Valentine and The Prowler. It also reminded me of, just that who done it kind of slasher. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's like Scream," and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I suppose so, maybe a little bit with like the slicker production, but to me, way more My Bloody Valentine and The Prowler definitely kept or got those vibes. That Joseph Zito kind of intensity. Joseph Zito did The Prowler, and he also directed Friday the 13th, the final chapter. And I think what comes across in his slashers is just a brute force and capturing the visuals in a way that seems a bit more serious, especially in the final chapter. I like hearing Jason grunt a little bit, and he still feels human. I really like that element. And then in the Prowler, you also have, well, in the Prowler and final chapter, you've got Tom Savini doing the effects, and I felt like in Thanksgiving they were trying to hit that kind of Savini level of gore, just sort of, bringing it back to that practicality. And another great thing about Thanksgiving is I don't think there were any off screen kills. They gave you all the carnage candy you could ask for. The performances are very charming. Actors I've never seen before that blew me away. I don't think there's even a slightly weak link in the chain in Thanksgiving. It's just such a fun film. I know you can watch it on demand right now, but I went back to the theater after the press screening. I took Kate. We both had a really good time. I enjoyed myself even more the second time, knowing, the answer of the who done it. I'm big into rewatching films. I know, it's not for everybody, especially depending on how busy you are, and not everyone can really do it. I just find a way to like, even if I'm going around the house doing chores, I'm like, I'll throw on Friday the 13th Part 5. Like, it's been a while. So I'll throw it on, I'll crank it up so I can like do a couple dishes, do this or that, kind of pay attention. But it's a movie I've seen like, a couple dozen times, maybe at least over a dozen times. So I like rewatching films. So going back, seeing Thanksgiving again, it was amazing. Can't wait for it to come out. That'll be a first day buy for me to add to the Blu-ray collection. Probably try to get it on 4K and Blu-ray. I don't have a 4K player yet, but at some point I will, so might as well spend the extra few bucks. Yeah, and everything with the Horror Show channel has been just so awesome. I mean, it's when somebody asks you to come out and, you know, do that with them, it's flattering, it's validating, it's motivating. And I've been out here in the Phoenix area since the summer of 2019, and in a big spread out city, it's tough to make friends, just when you're trying to like do regular life stuff. So I have my family out here and everything, but just like trying to like meet new people and stuff. So it was really cool just to find, another group of friends in that crew over there. So, especially with Cecil, Robert the Wolfman, and Fuego, High Man Fuego. Love those guys. Love working with them on stuff. And I hope the next time they put together a little movie or something like that, they let me hold a boom mic or get somebody some coffee. I'd be honored. It would be super rad. So, yeah, from there, just with those guys' support and, Cecil throwing my logo in the corner on the videos and giving me a shout out every time and being really sweet about sharing my stuff on social media, I was able to gain a little bit of traction. I originally set, I think it was, maybe in like October, early November, I was like hovering around like 80 some subscribers. And I was like, man, if I can just get to 100 before the end of the year, that would be so awesome. I'd feel like, it would just like encourage me that much more. And then, within a few weeks, I had hopped on a Dave McRae stream, and then I hopped on a Planet CHH stream, which is another one of those guys, part of the Inspiration Sunday, Christian over at Planet CHH. Love what you do so much, man. Really, your personality, you're so charming. You've got a great voice. I think one time I reached out, I was like, where are you from, like Brooklyn or something? And you're like, no, I'm from Louisiana. That's just my weird accent or whatever. But really awesome, great voice, really nice cadence. I can see why people love you so much and keep coming back for more. A guy that's really smart about horror and just all kind of film in general. I think he originally started out mostly focusing on the horror, but and I can totally appreciate people that just kind of stick to, you know, a corner that they really know or that they're just mostly passionate about. But it is fun to hop on a channel like Christian's and also see him talking about like UHF or The Naked Gun or like Spaceballs, those like oddball 80s comedies that are so damn good. So love your content, man, and a really big physical media guy. And yeah, just a great channel. Another one, I'll drop it in the comments or in the description. I'll put any and all channels that inspired me and made me want to do this and just made me feel like doing this sort of thing was possible. I'll drop all that stuff down. Certainly Christian over at Planet CHH is a big part of that. So thank you so much. Hey, Sabrina D. Good to see you too, Sabrina. Is that Sabrina Duncan from Juneau, Alaska? You have to let me know. Holy cow, we have 5 people watching in the chat. Well, you know what? When I hopped in here and no one was watching, I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to act like there's a million people out there because that's my other piece of free advice from the new YouTuber that is just scratching the surface, hopefully, on what they can do is, you know, every time you do a video, act like you got the biggest audience because maybe someday you will and those people will go back and watch those videos. Try to get better every video, even if it's just like one part. Like when I first started, I was editing on my phone. I was shooting on my phone and editing on my phone. And then I was like, okay, from there, I'm going to get this little lav mic, this little wireless mic so I can have better sound. So boom, did that. And then from there, I was like, well, I already have this nice Canon camera. So what I need to find out with the Canon camera is how to hook up my Rode mic to it. So I grabbed my mixer from my music playing days. I used to record music, so I have a whole bunch of equipment laying around pretty much. So have the microphone from that. I've had this microphone for probably 10 years or something like that, maybe more. And, you know, from there it was just like, okay, we'll set up the camera, you know, put everything up behind me, get some LEDs, and all these things came in steps. You know, I wasn't trying to tackle everything all at once. I was like, you know, I want every video to be a little bit better, and I want my personality to come off as more and more comfortable every single time that I do a video. That was a big thing too, because you have to find your voice. And, you know, coming from a musical background, I feel comfortable performing. I feel comfortable being on stage. I've even done stand-up comedy a handful of times. And gosh, I actually got to open up for a couple people that I got to open. Johnny Sanchez, that was super fun opening for him, and opening up for Bill Dwyer, who was on, of course, BattleBots back in the late 90s, early 2000s, but I just really love his stand-up. So I was comfortable, you know, with the whole idea, but definitely looking into a camera, like looking into the void, is a little bit different. You can get tripped up for sure, but you just kind of have to let it go and let your personality shine. And also, you know, through those like flames, you're going to come out, you know, forged into something better every single time. So you just kind of have to put up with it if it's a little uncomfortable, and it'll only get better. But if you're sitting there thinking about whether or not you want to start a YouTube channel, or you have a YouTube channel and you wish that you were more productive on it, you know, all I can say is just trust in yourself and just get out there and do it. Hey, it is Sabrina Duncan from Juneau. Hey, Johnny, it's hilarious you open up. Yeah, I opened up for Johnny Sanchez when he came to Juneau back in, I don't know, when was that, Sabrina? That was probably like 06, 05, 06, something like that. So I can't remember the comedian's name, but there was a guy that that came to Marlentini's back then, and he did a stand-up set, and at the end of the set, or right before he started, I think, they did like a joke. That's what it was. Right before the main act set, they did a joke contest. Anyone could come up and say a joke. It wasn't required that you had written the joke. So I went up there and I told the joke from, hey, Miss I came over from Brandon Perna's videos. Like your videos. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss I. What does the I stand for? I'm curious, just so I don't have to call you Miss I forever. Yeah, that was super awesome of Brandon. I know, you know, just because you send in a super chat and ask somebody to do something, especially someone with his reach and his scope, he didn't really have to give a shout out, but it was really cool of him to encourage everyone to join the channel. You may have missed it from the beginning of the stream, but I went from I was at 195 this morning, and then now I'm up to like 322 or whatever it is, something like that. So thank you guys so much for coming over here and giving me a chance. I know it's totally different. I don't have any plans on invading that space as far as sports content creation goes, because I really love what those guys do. And I mean, obviously, like, I would love to have Brandon on the show and talk about something else. Especially, he did that video with all the Halloween references and Michael Myers references. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, I imagine he has people helping him write. But I'm like, maybe Brandon is kind of a Halloween nerd. It would be cool to bring him on and talk about that. Oh my gosh, yeah, to bring any of these folks that are part of that inspirational Sunday, to bring them on. But yeah, great of Brandon to do that. Thank you for coming by, Miss I. Sabrina, getting back to the Johnny Sanchez thing. So I can't remember the other comedian's name, but we did this joke contest, and I went up there and told the joke where it's like, so here, hopefully this doesn't get me flagged. So the joke was, so one day Superman's flying around and he's just sort of like bored, and he's thinking to myself, there's no crime today. I'm going to swing by Wonder Woman's apartment and see what's going on. So he flies by and he sees Wonder Woman. She's on her back. She's naked and she's like writhing in ecstasy. Like, she looks like she's having a great time. And Superman's like, I think I could fly in there and real quick, like, and then fly away, and she wouldn't even know. So he swings on over, flies in, flies out really, really quick in this blink of an eye. And Wonder Woman is like, what the hell was that? And the Invisible Man says, I don't know, but my ass is killing me. And that was the joke where they were like, I won the contest. I got the biggest round of applause or whatever. And they brought me back up on the stage to just like improv with the comedian after his set. We did like 10 minutes of just talking bullshit, essentially. It was wild. And then after that, Ethan, the owner of Marlentini's, came up to me and he was like, hey, I've got Johnny Sanchez coming in next month. Do you want to open up for him? All you have to do is 5 minutes and I'll give you $100 bar tab. Or no, all you have to do is 5 minutes. I'll pay you $100 and you'll have an open bar tab all night. And I was like, yes. So that was really cool, and had fun opening up for him. Bill Dwyer, though, was the biggest sweetheart. I did 2 nights with Bill, and after the first night, he's like, you get it. I can tell that you get it. He's like, my piece of advice for you is like, you let your nerves allow you to rush through your jokes. And he's like, what you need to do with your jokes is you need to slowly give them out to the audience. He's like, say a sentence and then just look at them. Walk around the stage. He's like, let those moments of suspense, he's like, people will start laughing. They'll also try to like anticipate what you're going to say. And he's like, and then you show your audience, here, I have this gift. My joke is this gift and I'm giving it to you. And that was the way he like laid out the process. And it just it was like a light bulb, like ding. I was like, oh my gosh. And so the second night was so much better and a lot more comfortable. I got more laughs. I felt better about it. Bill gave me a good report card afterwards. And another fun thing is like, he was like, I was going by Dave at that point, or David, or, really people call me Davey, Dave, David. They call me all three. Like, Sabrina, what would you call me? You'd probably call me Dave, I would imagine. I don't have a choice. I don't have a preference. You're not like misnaming me. Call me whichever one. I hear them all the time. So yeah, he was like, hey, Dave. He goes, do you smoke? This is after the second set on Saturday night. I go up to Bill and he says, congratulations. And he goes, Dave, do you smoke pot? And I looked at him and I go, yes, I do. And he's like, well, great. What do you say after the show, you and I go smoke some pot? And he said it just like that. He's kind of got that deadpan Norm Macdonald sort of delivery. And he's just that kind of guy, like super hilarious, really friendly guy. Yeah, so that was my stand-up comedy experience there in Juneau. It was pretty cool. And yeah, Sabrina calls me Dave. Aaron Martin, you make us feel like a million viewers. Also, turn up your volume on the Rode mic is super low. Oh, crap. I'm so sorry about that. Let me see if I can turn up that volume. Yeah, guys, just let me know if something's not sounding right. We can always try to bump it up here. Well, looks like I might be maxed out. Let me see if I can get into the microphone. Where do we go? All right. Well, I got the compressor on. Maybe I'll just slide this up a little bit. Is that better? Is that getting better? Anything? Oh, there we go. How about that? Output gain. Are you guys hearing me better at all? Let me know. Sorry about that if you're not. You just have to jack up your sound, Aaron. No, but yeah, appreciate you guys coming in here. I is for independent. It was a username I used on a Bronco fan board, which is how I found him. How you found Brandon Perna. Nice. All right. So Miss Independent, big Broncos fan. I'm a huge Washington Commanders. What are they calling themselves now? Big Washington football team fan. I like Washington football team better than Commanders for sure. Hey, Allie's in here. Welcome, Allie. Happy New Year to you, miss. We got fishing with Fish Gal. Oh my gosh, we got some people in here. Guys, can you hear me better? Yes, much better. Okay, excellent. Perna is louder. That's all I'm saying. Perna is louder. You know, I don't know what I'm missing here. I'll be honest. Like, I'm relatively new. I'm still figuring it out. Let's see if we can get that volume even louder here. Why not? We'll just blow the roof off the place. Boom. All right. So, Allie, what are you up to right now? Are you going out? Are you going to go party tonight? Or are you just kicking it low key? Fishing with Fish Gal. I'm happy you're able to make it too. Thank you so much for coming out, man. And I hope your New Year's Eve is kicking ass so far. Thank you for the compliment on the hat, Allie. This had a really cool patch on it before, but when I washed the hat, the patch just fell right off. And so I found this enamel pen of my guy, Michael Myers. I absolutely adore Halloween. Yeah, so appreciate it. This is kind of a DIY hat. I used to play baseball as a kid for a really long time. Up till I was like 14 or 15, something like that. And so I never really wore a baseball hat after that, though, because it always just matted my hair down. But I don't know what it is about going on camera. I just was like, oh, I'll be a little bit of a character. So I've got my horror hats and everything that you'll see me wearing those on like the horror show channel, or even here when I'm doing like more of the stream of consciousness kind of unscripted stuff. So I get my hair all purty when I'm doing my scripted videos. So yeah, your living room is lit right now. Ours too. Kate, my wife Kate, put on a really cool video on YouTube that's like a balcony showing off New York City with fireworks and all sorts of good stuff. It's all, computer generated stuff that's pretty cool looking. And then she's got the snacks out and she's prepping dinner. She made the cake, all that fun stuff. So yeah. Yeah, let me know. Oh, Aaron, you've been watching Mike Birbiglia's podcast. I love Birbigs. I love him. I saw Mike. So the first time I heard Mike Birbiglia was on tour. I used to, play in some bands. We would just go on like little, like 2-week-long stints. No label or anything. We just produced our own recordings and all that. And my buddy Walker Janelle, shout out to Walker Janelle, the best drummer I've ever played with and one of the best drummers I've ever heard, period. So pumped that you're making a living doing music, man, and that you're able to fill your life with that. That is, playing music is one of the most joyful things I've ever done in my life. And if you can do it for a living, hell yeah, that's awesome. That is the dream right there. So Walker put on Mike Birbiglia, one of his records. I think it was, what is the name of it? Oh, I can't remember. I had it right on the tip of my tongue, but it was one of his first specials that he ever put out. And And then I saw him a few years after that. I was living out in Tempe, which is in the East Valley of the Phoenix area. This is back in like '07, '08, something like that. And I had him sign my phone. I had a Razor 2, and he signed my Razor 2. And so when I upgraded to a smartphone, I just kept that Razor 2 with his signature. I love Mike Birbiglia. He's hilarious. He can just sit there and tell stories, and just his personality makes me laugh. It's like he doesn't even need to be a traditional comedian that has punchlines. He does that, and he sneaks those callbacks and everything in really well. But essentially, he's just a master storyteller, a master comedic storyteller. It's amazing. Yeah, I didn't know he had a podcast, Aaron, so thank you for sharing that with me. I need to get more podcasts worked in. I spend a lot of time like with media that I enjoy. A lot of it is on YouTube, spent on YouTube, just watching my guys, maybe putting an earbud and do some chores or whatever it is. But I do need to get a little more in the podcast game, especially like, selling insurance at work. There are days where, the phones aren't too busy and maybe you can put a little something on in the background. Yeah. Let's see what else we got going here. The fishing sucks. Fishing with Fish Gal. The fishing sucks. And yeah, Allie, the cake. Kate bakes and cooks up a storm. She did it's like a gingerbread cake that she was going to make for Christmas that she just didn't get around to. So that's one of the big life changes I've made. Like since April, I cut out a lot of candy. I'll let myself, like on the weekend, I might let myself have a little something, but like store-bought candy, oh my gosh, I'm such a nut. Like sweet tarts, vanilla Charleston Chew, sour punch straws, Milky Way, Snickers, Twix. I love them all. Like I can't get enough candy. Like when Kate and I first started dating, she was like super duper healthy, but I drag her to like 7-Eleven or Circle K or something, and we would just buy terrible junk food, watch movies, and just, we were dumb and falling in love and just wanted to enjoy every minute. So we've pared that back quite a bit, but I will enjoy sweets if there's something that she bakes or, something that we get. Like if we buy a box of mix from like Trader Joe's or something, she'll make that, but try to keep the sweets to a minimum. So, yeah, Sour Patch Kids, they're very good too. So yeah, real quick, one thing about this 2023 journey that I want to share with you guys, just because it's part of the journey, is I started making these life changes in April, where it was like started eating less junk food in April, started doing a little bit of exercising later on in the year. I quit drinking. October 5th was the last time I had a drink. So I'm 87 days without a drink, and continuing the working out and continuing to just eat as well as I can, especially like bringing lunch to work was a big change for me, or, just a big positive. Saves you money, certainly. And you're just going to be a lot healthier for it. So since the middle of April, I've lost 30 pounds and it's been crazy. Like I never felt like I was like big or anything, but I think that you want to feel comfortable in your skin, and it's all about how comfortable you are and how you feel. Really just, how you feel. It's not even about looking at yourself and being like, oh, well, I don't look like this thing that everyone says is like hot, or I don't have, chiseled this or flat that. It's like, does it look good on you? Because some people, I think, just depending on the person and depending on their personality and their body type, like some things look good on some people that don't look good on others. It's just, I don't know. I would just say, just for me, it was mostly about health. My wife Kate's about 11 and a half years younger than me, and I want to be around. And I don't want to just be around. I want to be healthy and be around. And, I just felt like this is only going to be good for me. I'm not going to take it in no weird, dangerous territory. I'm not going to get like crazy about it, but I will continue to make these like incremental changes. It's just about these small changes. When I looked back, when I was like, whoa, 30 pounds, it sounds so shocking when you say it like that. It's another thing I can bring you from the insurance sales world. You say this big number, I lost 30 pounds. Oh my gosh. But really, it was like a pound a week. So when I did the division of how many weeks are between that time and now, I was like, oh, a pound a week. So if you think about, like, if you're in that spot in your life where you're like, oh, I do want to get a little healthier, like I have been like eating burgers and fries more than I've been eating like straight proteins and veggies and fruits, and or like I eat really late at night, whatever it is that you know, because everyone knows like the things that the habits that they have that aren't like the best habits. Like no one has to tell you, right? Like if you're an adult, you probably know. And so it's really about telling yourself, hey, I'm just going to make, I'm going to start with this little change. And then the little change makes the next little change easier to make. And then you make another little change. And then you realize you've stacked all this little bit of change that's just stacked up. And for me, that was like a big part of this year was like, I'm going to stack up these changes so they become big changes. I'm going to try to stack up little wins, like deciding to do YouTube, doing the first video on my stupid phone with no microphone, and then just making sure every video was a little bit better from there. Like I'm just going to stack like win after win after win and momentum, and just try to build it into something that would launch me and propel me into 2024. So again, huge thanks to all the subscribers. You guys have made that happen. I mean, shit. 195 subs at the beginning of today. Right now I'm seeing that we have 320 here on the channel. So, you know, thank you guys so much for coming by. And thank you for watching the videos. Let me know, like seriously, the engagement. I'm huge on the engagement, guys. All of you folks that have been commenting on my videos, you know, if you leave a comment, I don't just hop in there and say like, awesome, thanks, or like it and don't say anything. I'm trying to be as personable as possible because the channel is still so new and so small, and I want to get to know some of you like original folks. You know, I'm hoping that this can turn into something really cool. And either way, I promise you, I'm going to keep it going, and I'm going to keep doing everything I'm doing as if there are 1 million people watching, because to me, the success, the way I measure the success of the channel and the videos is how happy it makes me, how I get to build some relationships and become part of this community and a greater part of not only the YouTube community, but hopefully the horror community, the comic book community, the music, physical media community. I just want to build those bonds, and that's what I'm here for. If the other kind of success comes with that, then that's awesome, but it's not the only thing I'm after. So I really appreciate you guys giving me a shot and checking out the channel. Hop in those comments and let me know what you like, and feel free. Let me know if something doesn't work for you or if you think my opinion is just like wacky as all get out. Yeah, just let me know, guys. I've got my mocktail here. This is ginger, cranberry, some fizzy water, and a little splash of lime juice. Oh my goodness. So, hey, do you guys... I just want to catch up here on the chat a little bit. Christmas crack, aka saltine toffee. Sabrina, I have not ever had Christmas crack, but I'll DM you my address so you can send me some. And yeah, Allie, it does sound amazing. Thank you so much on the congrats on the 87 days. I'll give you guys a little bit of background on the quitting alcohol thing. I'm really fortunate that it didn't get to a point where, you know, I was risking losing the most valuable things in my life. So I'm thankful for that. I think for me with alcohol, I realized that it was kind of a coin flip on which Davy was going to come out. Was it going to be Dr. Jekyll or was it going to be Mr. Hyde? And so I got to the point where I just didn't want to risk it. And if I can't guarantee that it's going to be consistent behavior once I have a drink, or if drinking is going to prevent me from doing things that are important to me and things that I love, then I'm done. And I had drank for 20 years. If I'm really lucky, I may live to like about 80 or so. So if that happens, then I will have drank for 25% of my life. And I think that's enough. I still really like the way, so I, you know, like I said, I'm a nerd about a lot of things. So if Kate busts out like a new wine or, you know, we visited her family for Thanksgiving. We went to the Oregon coast. It was so beautiful. And her father busted out a bottle of bourbon, and one that I had never seen or heard of or tasted before. So in those instances, it's like Kate pours herself a drink, and I'm like, I want to know what that tastes like. I have the tiniest little sip. I let it sit in my mouth. And for me, it's like, it's really nice. It's like, cool. I still get to enjoy the flavor, the craftsmanship of something that I think is culturally so significant and important. Like, I do think alcohol is like, it can be one of those things that really, you know, it's brought cultures together in the past. It's, you know, a part of history. And I think when you get to that point where, you know, you're done with it, it's okay to just hang them up, you know. Plenty of booze to go around for everyone else, and I don't judge anybody that drinks. You know, I haven't really had any cravings. You know, I stopped drinking, and it wasn't ever like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out, I need a drink. Actually, what would happen is I would get in stressful moments, and I'd think to myself, oh my gosh, I can actually like process this and handle this. I'm so happy I'm not drinking. That's what would happen when I'd get stressful moments, and I'd be like, oh, I'll figure this out. I'll find a way around it, or I'll find a way through it, or I'll find a solution. Whether it was doing something with the channel or just, you know, a personal issue or a relationship issue, you know. So that's why I quit alcohol. I don't ever think I'll have like a actual drink ever again. But I just wanted to be totally clear with everyone as far as like, yeah, I like to taste, like having a taster to enjoy the work behind it. I will do that. So if you think that breaks my sobriety, then I guess so be it. Let's see here. Robert Greene missed the candy chapter in his book and the artist abduction. He knows nothing yet. So Aaron, who's Robert Greene? Did I miss something else? Maybe I missed another comment up there. Oh my gosh, Sabrina, you've lost 100 pounds over the last 2 years. Holy crap. That is awesome. Wow. And the right meds, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I don't have I don't take any prescriptions or anything, but I'm sure that, you know, if you are taking medicine, that figuring that out, because, you know, our bodies are just these complex chemical reactions happening constantly, it seems. So yeah. Way to go, Sabrina. That's got to feel great. That's got to feel great. I can only imagine. I started out this journey at 215. I'm right around like 184 right now, something like that. So I don't know. I don't really have like a bottom in mind. I'm kind of just like, well, I want to continue to work out and continue to eat well. And hopefully I'll just tone the muscle that I have and continue to lose some of the fat, because I don't need to be big like beautiful cosplay Chris Stanley. But hey, I certainly, you know, Chris, if you want to share your workout regimen with me, I'd appreciate it. How do you get that body so good? But don't tell me too much. I'm a married man, all right? No, I'm just joking. And yeah, Allie says day by day. That's right. You know, you make these changes day by day. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy you enjoy my content, Allie. It means a lot. It means a lot. You know, the handful of people that comment on everything, and just knowing that, you know, when you put something, like when I put out the Super Mario Brothers movie video, that was just an impromptu thing. We watched the movie and I was like, you know, I kind of just want to shoot something about this movie because I'd been meaning to watch it for so long. I'm such a huge Nintendo and Super Mario fan. And we finally watched it. I was like, why not do something that's like I finally watched it. And that video, I always set my videos to drop like relatively early East Coast time, because I'm hoping that when someone's sitting on their toilet, maybe Davey Deathray will pop up and they'll give me a shot. And so I woke up and the video was already like 30 views, like an hour in. And for me, that's pretty dang good. I was like, holy crap. And then by the time I got to work, it was like at 100. And I was like, whoa. And then by the time I left work, it was over 200. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I'm celebrate the small wins. Like, I know that a lot of the channels I follow, they get thousands of views within the first hour or two. And, but it doesn't like denigrate or, bring down the value of those wins that you have. So, you know, if you're just getting started, don't get discouraged. Get encouraged by the amount of engagement you can see. And also, like, one thing that it does is it makes me, it makes me want to engage with folks more. Like, Allie, I think you found the channel because when Vin did the interview, when we did the stream of the interview, that was the first time I saw you in there anyway. And then after that, I was like, oh, wow, this girl is like, she follows all this horror stuff. She's so supportive of this community that she's a part of. And how awesome is this? Like, I'm going to start following her, and you get engagement from folks, and then you engage more on what they're posting. And it just sort of turns into this thing where it's like, you know, the day just wouldn't be the day without an Allie post on Twitter, right? So it's kind of cool how that can all develop, and we can find fulfillment, you know. Hey, Chris Snyder, what's happening, bud? Thank you so much for the congratulations. Happy 2024 to you as well, sir. Oh, I appreciate it, man. Yes, us smaller guys do got to have each other's backs. Really enjoyed your stream last night. That was the first one I've ever caught. So I think I followed your channel for a little bit, but had just never happened to be on when there was a live stream. So it was really cool to hop in there and see what you guys were all about. I know I hopped in late, started talking about movies you guys already talked about. What? But I appreciate that, man. And yes, Allie, it was the Vin interview. Okay, great. Yeah. Sabrina, thank you. I'm glad I got off alcohol. Yeah, Nels. Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, my buddy Nels Sanford, who was a drummer in one of my bands back when I was in high school and just right after high school. Yeah, he ended up passing away. I think for him it was alcohol, and it was, as far as I remember from what I heard, is that it was pills too, the combination. So I don't mess with hard drugs. You know, I tried mushrooms a few times. Is that a hard drug? Probably little tiny amounts. But yeah, cannabis user every day. Drank alcohol for 20 years. Not doing that anymore. And then Miss Independent, congrats on all the healthy choices you're making. That is great. Well, thank you so much, and I hope it doesn't come off as too like soapboxy and all that stuff. Really, it's just, I think people should share like mental health stuff more all the time. So I think like when you're feeling good, you should share it, and you should encourage other people to feel good. Let them know if you've done something that's making you feel good, and it's not even that you're asking them to do it. It's just that you're like putting it out there. And I think when you're struggling and you're having a tough time, it's okay to say that too. I think people should be, people should know that there's support there, like, and not just some 1-800 line that you can call, but just like let people know when you're feeling vulnerable, you know, before it gets to a point. Yeah, maybe this is a bit much, but I'm just saying and this is just something that everyone either deals with, and they're like, I feel like the experience of life can kind of drive you crazy or make you depressed. So I think like a lot of people find themselves at some point in their life in that spectrum of like where unhappiness is kind of consumed, maybe not your whole life, but it's consumed enough of your life to where, you know, it's just dragging you down. So I think it's those times, like before we get too far gone, we got to just like reach out and let people know, like talk to people that you trust, and or reach out. You never know, like even reach out to a YouTuber or somebody like, you know, a mutual on Twitter that engages with you in a way that you think you've got like a good rapport. If you want that like anonymity, just say something to somebody, you know. And I think we've got to be there for each other. You know, that's the only way that like, you know, humanity is going to find peace, is just by listening to each other and being understanding, being compassionate. Listen to the people that disagree with you. Have calm conversations as best you can with the people that disagree with you. And, you know, once they start attacking you personally, or, you know, obviously violence isn't good, but I don't know. I think engaging people in a respectful way that you may not see eye to eye with, I think can definitely spawn some understanding. And maybe it doesn't change them right away, but they might think about that conversation later. They might even just think about your approach. Think about that. Like somebody might think, I thought the people that like this guy, this politician, or people that like this movie, or people that don't like this, were all like that. Like you just, kind of group them. But you just may find that you can reach some common ground, and maybe you'll learn something from them too. I think that's a big thing. Like take a little bit from everyone, find a well-rounded view. Extremes are dangerous, no matter what side they're on. I think there's enough human history out there to tell that story for sure. Chris, that's cool to hear. 420 friendly. Yeah, I'm 420 friendly as well. Absolutely. And Allie, you're a great YouTube cheerleader. And I bet, were you a cheerleader in real life growing up? I bet you'd make a great one, even if you weren't. You got such a good smile. And that's from UHS. He's got such a good face. Look at this face. Is this the face you could die for? And pulls the cheek. But yeah, Allie, your voice, you do those. I'd encourage you to do a little, I don't know if YouTube's your thing, but I love the voice tweets you put out there. You have a really great voice, really awesome accent. Yeah, really good Texas accent. It's got that sweetness in it. There's that there's like that honey in the drawl, you know what I mean? Or like what does Andy say on The Office where he's like, it's like you got a little molasses in your mouth. Like this really nice tone to it. So yeah. Hell yeah, really enjoy that content from you. And Chris's door is always open. Yeah, when it comes to people, yeah, there you go, guys. So you have people you can reach out to. And seriously, when you're happy and when you're not, like, let's all, gosh, there's like, you can go the FOMO route and the jealousy route when you see other people succeed. Or you can look at their success and say, how do I get a little bit of that for me? Because there's plenty out there for everyone, but you have to go get it. You can't sit back and be like, when's it going to happen to me? Nope, not going to happen. I did that for 14 years. No one else started my YouTube channel. Sure, I'd meet people at parties, or I'd pick up the phone. I worked at this pizza shop, and I'd pick up the phone and go, thank you for calling Hot Lips on Killingsworth. This is Davey. And everyone was like, oh my God, your voice. But no one ever gave me a voice acting job. No one's going to do it for you. You have to go out there and get it, and share your successes so other people can be inspired. And then share when things are tough so others can be inspired to know that they don't have to hide that. All right, we have a really awesome kumbaya vibe here in the chat. You guys let me know if I'm taking it too far with all that. But gosh, do you guys have any questions, or is there something you want to talk to me about? I've been on for about an hour and a half, so I don't mind kind of wrapping things up and all that. But do you guys have any? I haven't even talked about Godzilla -1. Holy crap. Probably that one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. Jaws, back there. Oh, no. Sorry. I got fooled by the monitor. Jaws is my favorite film of all time. It's suspenseful, it's thrilling, it's comedic, it's dramatic, it's horrific. It's like every genre wrapped into one and executed on such a great level. I adore Jaws. I watch it a couple times a year. I've owned countless versions of the film. I fell in love with it when I was a little kid. And Godzilla -1 gave me big time Jaws vibes. Not just when they're on the boat. I mean, clearly when they're on the boat, those scenes are like, wow, this is like the barrel scenes in Jaws, and the way that the guys get along with each other. But just the idea of like that classic creature feature and a creature feature that's character driven. I think Jaws is very character driven. It's different. Obviously, Godzilla -1 is character driven in a different way. But I think that's what we have to get back to with movies, with big studio movies. I understand that they've got they want to win some like political brownie points and stuff. I think you can make those points. I think Disney can still say what Disney wants to say, but they can achieve that through character-driven stories. And, like Dave McRae always says, make sure that it's properly motivated. That's a huge part of it. And I hope we get back to that. It was so refreshing to see Toho put together a $15 million production that looks like one of our $200 million productions and blow it out of the water as far as scope goes, effects, acting, and of course the story. I love when there's a hero that's not perfect. So many of these movies now where they, a lot of the movies that are like particularly like the diversity type movies that are, people call them woke and all that stuff, but it's just like all these characters are like perfect. And so I don't know how I'm supposed to relate with this perfect character. Like if Captain Marvel doesn't have a flaw, why do I care? Like, I don't like Luke Skywalker because he's a guy. I like Luke Skywalker because he has flaws, things he wants, things he keeps on failing at, things he learns how to get better at. He's like us. And there are plenty of female characters that exemplify that as well. I think like even in like Mad Max Fury Road, I think like Furiosa is a female character that's like that. All of the slasher final girls, the reason why we love our final girls is because they're like us. It's how many. So it kind of blows me away when Hollywood acts like, oh, we need to do this thing because no one's been doing this thing. It's like, whoa, hold the phone. Charlie's Angels was like one of the most popular TV shows in the mid 70s, right? That's a female led show. So clearly it's not a problem about what's between your legs or really the, color of your skin or any other deciding factor. It's like, is the story good? Does it grab people? And are the people behind the scenes doing the work the right way to earn the audience? Because if you don't earn the audience, then bye-bye. And I just think Godzilla -1 is such a return to that kind of feel, that old school, the way that we used to make films here in America. And hats off, man. Having a visual effects supervisor do the directing of that film is the film's biggest win. I mean, he directed it and he wrote it. And he does the visual effects, which is, it's a money saver, I tell you what, because you bring in your own people, you bring in your own house, you structure the deal that's favorable to the production of the film to make sure you can squeeze all the money you can out of that department. And then not only that, he knows how that stuff should be shot because that's all he thinks about all day. And we look at a movie like you look at Deadpool, Tim Miller, same kind of thing. Special effects guy. Owned his own special effects house. Brought them in to do the effects on Deadpool. Made Deadpool for a relatively low amount in the scope of superhero films made in the United States of America. And I just think that that's like the cheat code. I think that that's the way that Hollywood should kind of go, is if you're going to do a spectacle film, give your spectacle film to a director that does visual effects. And if they write, that's great too. And you know what? If they don't, then you can spend a little more money hiring a good writer instead of just whatever they're doing now. Like I like The Force Awakens and it felt like Star Wars just, fell off from there. Even Rogue One was like, okay, but it was prequels or stories that we already know the endings to. So why, I just don't really understand prequels. And going back to Furiosa, I'm definitely not interested in watching that movie. I don't like prequels. I don't need to know how she got her arm or like when she shaved her head. All these things are inconsequential. I'm way more interested in knowing how Furiosa moves on after Fury Road. Like, is she able to bring water and peace and prosperity to all of the people, or does she find out that it's not as easy as she thought, and maybe there was a reason why Immortan Joe ruled with an iron fist? Maybe it could be like a little bit of an Animal Farm situation where it's like, yeah, the oppressed fight for the right to oppress. Just something a little more interesting. Prequels for me, no, they're not for me. All right, I've just blah, blah, blah. I think Allie, you might be the only one in here. Well, Allie and maybe Chris. It says 3 watching, but I think one of them is me because I'm on the stream to follow along in the chat. So I guess, yeah, guys, we could probably wrap it up here. You guys all might want to, find somebody to smooch as the ball drops. I want to make sure there's nothing else. Oh, real quick. I have to talk H45. Unless you guys are done with me, let me know. Anyone? H45? Anyone? Going? Bueller. Well, it says 3 people watching, Allie, so I'm guessing there's you, me, and somebody else. H45 was amazing. I can't wait for H50. I got to meet Ken Foree, from Rob Zombie's Halloween, but really from Dawn of the Dead. And I've got, let me move my head here. You can see the poster back here. He signed that for me. I shook his hand. He was a pretty all right dude. Got to bump into Vin at the event as well. And that was the first time I had seen him since the interview. That was really cool. I hooked him up with my brother Matt, who got to do some matte painting work on Never Hike Alone 2. And that was the first time they met in person. So it was really cool to connect Vin and Matt. It was during the strike and everything. My brother didn't have any work. And I just told him about, I showed him the project, showed him the other Never Hike Alone movies, and just so he could kind of see how serious this was, and like that these guys are onto something here. Like, might be some good people to know. So, and then, Vin checked everything out. They reached out. My brother worked on a couple shots in Never Hike Alone 2. He was, love you too, Sabrina. He, the great shot, when the lights go red in the hospital, and there's the shot where Jason's kind of like holding the nurse, almost like dipping her in a dance after slicing her gut open. My brother worked on that shot, that wide shot, just to add like blood and guts and that kind of stuff. He worked on a couple of the other kill shots. He did some of the storm work, some of the lightning storm over the hospital. So really cool for those guys to meet at H45. I also got to meet Rian Reese, who played, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting her name right now? It's Erin, and I can't remember the podcaster, her name in Halloween 2018. This is what happens when you go live, people. This is what happens when you use cannabis every day, people. She was such a sweet lady. That bathroom scene in Halloween 2018 is one of the best in the franchise. It's so intense. It's amazing. And she was super sweet. Kate really wanted to get a picture with her because Kate loves that scene as well, although it scares the hell out of her. Kate walked up and Rian was like, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful." It was just very, very sweet and welcoming. And I got to ask her a question about that scene when they did the panel for the David Gordon Green Halloween films. I just shouted it from the back of the room when it was my turn, and I was basically like, what was it like to be like, that's the moment that we really know Michael's back. Like, we see him before in the film, but that's the moment where it's like, holy shit, like very intense, very brutal, relentless, not like the scene in H2O, Chris Stuckman. And so who else did I get to meet? Got to meet Jeffrey Kramer, who plays the coroner in Halloween 2. And of course he plays, what is it? Deputy, or I can't even, now I'm forgetting his name too. Jeffrey Kramer was in Jaws and Jaws 2. I can't believe I'm forgetting that name right now. Somebody slap me silly in the chat. I got to meet Rowan Campbell from Halloween Ends. I really like Halloween Ends a lot. I knew that something different was coming because I read the press release and everything, and just what David Gordon Green had shared with either Entertainment Weekly or, one of those magazines. He had talked about the Corey character. So I knew that it was going to be different. And I was kind of ready for it because I've seen so many Michael Myers movies that it didn't bother me too much. Now, do I think it's a perfect film? Absolutely not. I mean, very rarely is a film perfect. But I think Halloween Ends, I think it'll be looked at better as time goes on. It is a beautifully shot film. The soundtrack is amazing. The effects are great. I think the performances are really good too. I think Andi Matichak puts in her best performance of the trilogy. And I even think Jamie Lee Curtis's performance is the best in the trilogy as well. And of course, Rowan is mesmerizing. He sucks you right in. I think what a great young performer. Such a, like, I've never seen him in anything else. So I think such a get for those guys, especially when you're going to do something so risky in a film, to get somebody that can pull it off. And he was really sweet. He had a really nice line at the event. Very friendly guy. Happy to have met him. Who else? Anthony Michael Hall. Got to meet Anthony Michael Hall. Gosh, I wish that Tommy Doyle had better dialogue in Halloween Kills. But I love Anthony Michael Hall. I mean, not just, it's cool that he's in the Halloween franchise, but, Weird Science, Breakfast Club, National Lampoon's National Lampoon's Vacation. I'm just stuck in Christmas mode over here. And countless others. I mean, he was in SNL back in the day. He was in the Dead Zone TV show. That was sort of like a comeback in a way for him. I remember it being. So yeah, H45 was unreal. It just, man, really motivating. I got to meet some folks that I just know from social media. I got to meet Anthony Brown Lee, who I follow on Insta and Twitter. He's an author, a horror author, and he's a big time Fredhead. Really great guy to follow and just engage with. So I got to meet him and get a picture with him. I got to meet Darren and Frank from the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast, which was amazing. I love those guys. They're an integral part of the Inspiration Sunday. Got to meet them. That was super rad. Darren snuck me an enamel pin and a keychain. It was a very sweet little gift. And gosh, Malik Akkad had tied one on at that after party, but he was so friendly and engaging and really sweet. And you could tell that he just genuinely, that he knows where his money comes from, because he genuinely cares about the fans and genuinely cares about Michael and the way that Michael's treated. So I thought it was really cool. There were multiple times where he came up, chatting with like Cody Snyder, another shout out, who I just know from Dave McRae's channel. He's one of the mods over there, and another huge horror fan, big time member of the community. So, just like kind of hanging out and chatting with Cody and a couple other folks. And, Malik just comes over and kind of like busts it up and starts talking to us. I mean, it was so cool and kind of unreal, Got to meet Tom Jones Jr., who portrayed Loomis in the Halloween Kills flashback. That was great. And man, just really, I love these horror conventions. For me, it's like kind of like going to church. You feel like you're around your people, and that you can be comfortable being who you are. And I think that that's sort of what it's all about, is just finding the space where you feel comfortable. And I feel like, here, I'll do my D'Angelo Vickers from The Office. I feel just as comfortable at the ballet as I do at a ball game. But I am one of those, like, I could go to a hockey game, football game, basketball, baseball. You could take me to a play. You could take me to a country show. You could take me to a rodeo, any kind of festival, any kind of convention, comic book, horror, whatever. That's the kind of world, like, I can just fall in love with the people there and the experience. And I think it's just one of the great things about life, is just, finding as much things as you can that you enjoy, and then, spending your time doing those things with the people that you love. So I feel truly blessed. Another D'Angelo Vickers line. Some people don't like Will Ferrell in The Office, and I think those 3 episodes are like some of the best episodes of that whole series. So maybe I'm way off. Allie, you should definitely go to H50. Make the plans now. My whole thing is, here's my goal. And, I'm going to need everyone's help on this one, because I'm going to need you to get everybody that to subscribe to me so the channel can get as big a following as possible, because I want Paul Rudd at H50. I'm sick of Paul Rudd not giving Halloween the flowers, man. Where are the flowers, Paul? I love Paul Rudd as a performer. I think he's a really charming guy. Love him in Clueless. He's a great Ant-Man. Anchorman, awesome. All those Judd Apatow movies, he's very, again, charming. Tommy Doyle, kind of a weird performance, but he took a risk, I don't think it's necessarily bad to take risks. To me, it helps Curse of Michael Myers stand out. And, you can definitely believe that Tommy would be affected in some way after what he went through. But here's the thing. If Paul Rudd goes to age 50, he's going to get all the love in the world. And it's not going to be people walking up with Ant-Man dolls and all that kind of stuff. People are going to walk up for Tommy Doyle. That's what they go there for. They're going to want Tommy Doyle signatures, or, they're going to want Paul Rudd signatures on Tommy Doyle pictures. NECA will probably do some Curse of Michael Myers release where they put out at least put out a Tommy Doyle doll. You could do like a Loomis doll or something too. People would do that kind of thing. And he would find out that while the performance, he made some choices in the performance that, you can, maybe you like it, maybe you don't. But he's just going to get so much love. People aren't going to wait in line to walk up and make fun of the mid-Atlantic accent. Like when Michael Myers was 6 years old, no one's going to walk up and do that. I'll do it on this video. But if I walked up to Paul Rudd at age 50, I would be like, I'm so happy that you're part of this franchise. The people love this. Look at all those people in line. We all love you. Loved you in Clueless. Tell them about everything else, but it would just be all love. I think that seeing how much love Rowan was getting, even though there's a lot of negative talk about Halloween Ends, I think that's just like proof right there that people show up because they want that experience with that person. And all the snarkiness and the jokes you can make about the movie they were in or whatever, that just goes all out the window when you finally get to stand in front of them and say your piece and get to get that picture with them. How can you not love them for everything they've given you? And I think that's that's what kind of binds us as movie fans. You love something that you have that in common with other people, that you all love this thing so much, so you can bond over that. And it kind of it erases the other lines, and it allows us to just kind of open our hearts, and it gives us some perspective. That's right. Being a horror fan can give you perspective and open your heart. Sabrina, I have not seen Horror and Hamsters. I'll have to look that up. Can I find it on YouTube? Allie says Rowan was really good. Just wish they wouldn't have made it the last movie. Yeah. I think that's such a legitimate gripe. Absolutely. Yeah, Allie, there's a series I'm working on that I plan on rolling out here in 2024, and it's called How to Make It Better. So I'm going to go through movies that I like, at least mostly like, and I'm going to suggest, I'm going to make notes on how to make them better. And the first one that I'm going to tackle is that David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy, and specifically with Corey Cunningham. I would introduce him in Halloween 2018. So we learn that in Halloween Ends, we learn that Corey is a good student. He's got good grades. He just doesn't have the money to go to a good school. So in Halloween 2018, we know that Allison is in the National Honor Society, which is for the kids with good grades, the smart kids. So we could have Corey could have been in Halloween 2018. Maybe he's just kind of in the background, but we know that he's in the National Honor Society with Allison. We get a little bit of a background. Maybe Cameron has been bullying or picking on Corey his whole life and doesn't like the fact that his girlfriend is buddies with this smart kid, a smart, poor kid, So there could be a little bit of that friction, and we hardly even really need to see him, right? Just maybe a shot or two or a scene or two, and then he doesn't even have to be in Kills at all, because Kills focuses so much on the family and so much on Michael and the legacy characters. So then you bring him back in Ends, and it's like, oh yeah, that guy. Oh man, this is all tying together. And at least it ties together in that way. And I think if you do it that way, you don't even have to have Michael in Halloween Ends. Michael could have literally been killed at the end of Halloween Kills. That could have been the shocking twist, is that in Halloween Kills, Michael gets killed. And then you're like, well, what the hell are they going to do with Halloween Ends? Then you know definitively that Halloween Ends is going to be different. There's no pulling the rug out. And we just find out that Corey pretty much picks up the mantle. Right? So that's just one change that I would make there. I've also got here, I'll give you another one. Tell me what you think of it, Allie. I would make it so Tommy Doyle is in 2018, he's a city councilman. He's running for mayor. Now the vote is coming up, 5 days after Halloween, November 5th is when they're going to vote. And so in Halloween 2018, really you just see his like signs in people's yards. Maybe you catch like in the background an ad for his mayoral campaign. And then Halloween Kills can still kind of like start the way it is with his character, where he meets his friends at the bar. Maybe he's taken the suit jacket off, but he still has the tucked in button up shirt with the white cuffs and the tie. Maybe the tie's a little looser. So he can still kick it with his old school buddies, but he is trying to just, do what he can to protect and make a better future for Haddonfield. And so then that way that gives him a little more motivation as far as leading the mob in Halloween Kills. And I think the mob could just be handled better overall. I see what they're trying to do there, but it's a little distracting from the rest of the plot. But it gives Tommy motivation. Excuse me, I had to burp. So yeah, I think those are just a couple changes right off the top of my head, but I have my notes all worked out, and I'll probably go through like each film and do it. Really, honestly, I'd like to do that show with another YouTuber. So, Chris, if you're still in the chat and that's something that you'd be interested in, hit me up, man. I would love to do a how to make it better with another person where we both kind of put our ideas together off to the side, and then we tackle each movie of like, these are the changes I would make. And if the changes that you would make in like 2018 would reverberate in ends, you can mention them during that video so it ties into that. And then when we cover ends, we can also call it back to that 2018. So that would be something like that would be super fun. Like, I'd even like to do, heck, if I did each one with a different YouTuber that I, look up to or follow, that would be great. So I was like, man, maybe I can get Drum Dums to do a little how to make it better with me. He seems to like having those chats about the what ifs and the hypothetical scenarios and that kind of like, fan fiction, but it's more of like a discussion kind of thing. So yeah. Awesome. Allie is sold on that series. $3 to rent, Sabrina. Well, again, because my memory, when I do this sort of thing, it's tough to remember everything. It's tough to remember everything. So feel free to shoot me like a DM or what have you. And then, yeah, Allie, I'm pumped that you like that idea. And I don't want like, the idea isn't coming from a place of like, hey, this movie's shit and I'm going to fix it. It's more of like, I really like this, but here are some issues that like a lot of people had that I think let's fix these issues. And so just sort of doing a retrospective and kind of a re-envisioning of it. Nick or Bud? All right. So Allie, do Nick and Bud, do they have their own channel right now? Or do they have a channel together, or do they do separate things? Feel free to shoot me like a message on Twitter or Instagram or whatever to share their contacts. I'd love, again, I'm here, like I said before, I'm here to build the community, get a strong foundation here, and become as big of a part of the community as I can. Whatever that means, making connections with people, putting out content, being a champion for independent filmmakers, fan filmmakers, being a champion for like the things I love in life and what I like to celebrate. So yeah, share Nick and Bud's info with me in a private message, and I'll get a hold of them and see what's up. And I guess real quick to close things out, it's been about 2 hours. I'm gonna have one more sip of water. The last thing I want to mention, I know a lot of people don't come here for the music talk and all that. I can tell by the views on the physical media show-off show. But the Beths, oh my gosh, you guys. I just want to talk music for a second. In August of this year, I'm laying in bed, scrolling through YouTube looking for something to listen to, and this video pops up for a song called Expert in a Dying Field, and the band's name is the Beths. And the thumbnail has the singer of the band, Elizabeth Stokes. She's just sort of staring at the camera, holding her guitar. And I was like, oh, well, this looks interesting. I wonder if YouTube's recommending this to me, I wonder how right they are. So I clicked on the video, And it was one of the best power pop songs I've heard in a really, really long time. Like it immediately I was like, man, this reminds me of the Smoking Popes. It reminds me of Motion City soundtrack. Little touch of Weezer in there because it's really tough to hear power pop and not think of Weezer. And then as I like listened to more of the record, you know, they had some 90s kind of vibes, like the Cranberries sort of feels on some of the softer songs. And then some of the more raucous, rowdy songs kind of reminded me of this amazing band from Canada called Pup, who are just like reckless abandon, garagey but tight. You know, that I love hearing a band that sounds like a wild monster, but it's like beautiful. You know, it sounds like everyone knows exactly what they're doing, but at the same time, like they're throwing caution into the wind. Like those are the kinds of bands I really like and the kinds of records I really like listening to. I like a record that sounds closer to me watching you in a basement than it does to you recording a record like in space in a vacuum, you know. Of course, slick sounding records I've definitely heard. I like my fair share of pop too. Like I'm a big Tears for Fears guy. Of course, I like the old Michael Jackson stuff. I really like the like when the more poppy Paramore got, like when they started sounding like they were writing Quincy Jones like Michael Jackson songs. Whew, that stuff is pretty damn good. So yeah, I just really wanted to talk about the Beths because they've been putting out records since like 2018 or 2017. So man, I just totally missed them because they are one of the best bands I've ever heard in my life. Full stop. They've got 3 full lengths out right now. I highly recommend you check out each one. They get slicker in recording as they go, but the quality of the songwriting, especially the vocal melodies that Elizabeth uses, and really the fact that the other guys in the band, the drummer, bassist, and guitarist, are all fabulous musicians, and they all sing. So you get these huge backup vocals. They sound like, you know, I went and saw Eric Church with my wife, and Eric's got like an 8-piece band or something like that, like 8 people, you know, to sound like that. And I'll tell you what, the Beths with 4 people, they sound like 8. It's incredible. And you know, even checking out the live stuff. So I'm not just talking about, because on a record you can record all sorts of layers, and certainly I'm sure they indulge on the record and make it as accessible as possible. But I've watched live performances that are really damn good, acoustic stuff, and then also like, you know, a real show, kind of, you know, real good soundboard quality where you can tell if they're messing up or not. And these guys are a damn good band. So that's I think the last thing I want to go out on as far as talking about like stuff I'm passionate about. I'm also tossing around the loose idea of doing like a Sunday roundup after football games. Like, you know, again, don't want to encroach on the whole sports media thing because I think there are people that do it way better than I ever could. But it might be fun, like, you know, there's crossover in fandom. So if I find a group of horror fans or comic book fans or music nerds that also love football and they want to just like check in for my thoughts on how everything went down and then my predictions for the next week, maybe I'll do something like that. But that's way down the road. We're going to focus on getting Movie Date with Davey and Kate up on its feet. That's where my wife and I watch a movie that we're both familiar with, and we have just an open, you know, stream of consciousness discussion. We're going to get that going. We are going to get How to Make It Better going. And of course, I'll continue with the physical media show-off show, regardless of the lower viewership. I believe in it, and I think if I hit it up the right way, it could be really good. And then I finally saw it, right? Is that what I finally saw it, where we're going to take a look at, finally watched it. I finally watched it. So I think the big one for that, I've never seen E.T. True. So I'm thinking maybe my next episode of I Finally Watched It will be E.T. the Extraterrestrial, starring Drew Barrymore. Yeah, I don't know how I never saw that movie. I think like as a kid, like I would see it in the background when I would be at people's homes, but I've never seen the film. Allie, you want hockey? I'm a big Caps fan. I thought about wearing my Ovechkin jersey, but I didn't know if you were going to show up. So I was like, well, if I knew Allie would be there, I'd wear my Ovechkin jersey. Yeah, I do. I really do want Kate to come on. We're just trying to find, the right time. Um, and really, like, I think with Kate too, it's like, I'm used to doing this kind of stuff, putting myself like in front of the mic. And so, maybe there's just a little bit of like a comfortability thing, but, um, she's definitely into it. And I was like, the more we do this, like, you're going to get so much more comfortable. And I was like, and just let me carry it if you do feel uncomfortable, or you know what I mean? Just like, I'll be there and I'll make sure that this thing goes smoothly. And, if it's going rough, we can always stop the thing and restart it. It's like, it doesn't have to be one take and like the very first take is the only thing you use. I think that the idea behind the show is to encourage conversation, to have people with different perspectives talking about similar topics and covering that. And then also just like kind of having a laugh and sharing our joy and our love for these films. And I'm really pumped about that. So really looking forward to that. Yeah, more physical media show off show. I finally watched it, how to make it better, and we'll see what else. I've got a series of interviews that I'm lining up. So I'm going to be doing interviews with a musician named Brian McPherson, who's a buddy of mine going many years back, a fellow musician who, is DIY all the way, writes and records his own music, plays solo. He's just got such a good product, live and recorded. And he's a stellar dude to hang out with. Fun, awesome guy. So going to interview him. Going to interview, talking to the people over at Lux Media who did the Uncharted Oxys Redemption fan film, and they're also working on something called Gotham Noir. So I'm putting together an interview with them. Hey, Tales from the Shelf. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for coming by, man. I think I see you. Gosh, do I see you on Dave's channel and Slaughtered Lamb? It looks familiar. So let me know. Yeah, how you stumbled upon the channel. I'm curious to know how everyone found the Davey Death Ray channel here. So interviewing with Lux Media, with at least Daniello and Sarah, who are the writers and directors, and hopefully Chris can jump on for an interview. And then I've got one lined up with an artist buddy of mine from back in Juneau. His name is Cole Chitty. Sabrina, you might know Cole. He's a musician and a visual artist. He works in a lot of board games right now, a lot of horror kind of art. He actually did, let me show you guys. This Jaws poster right here. I don't know if you can see it that well, but that Jaws poster right there is a piece that Cole put together. Jaws is my favorite movie. Cole is awesome. He's a great artist, such a friendly guy. I don't know what it was. When growing up in Juneau, Cole just always looked so tough, and I was like, oh, this tough guy. He just seemed so intimidating, and I think the first time we ever talked to each other, he was like the sweetest guy, treated me like I was an old friend, and he's always been that way, so I'm really excited to have him on the channel. And I'm going to interview my nephew, Devin, who has an awesome band called Lovely Colors. They're up in the Seattle area in the Pacific Northwest, and they've got a really, man, if you like sexy rock and roll, like, and when I say sexy, I just mean like the overall vibe of the music. And then also, my nephew Devin, his voice is just really like sultry and smooth. I get feeling like what's that band? Gosh, I'm totally blanking on it right now. Oh, it's not Arcade Fire. What's the other band? Kate, I need you. I'm trying to think of what that band is. This is terrible. I think it's lost me, or I think I've lost it. I don't think it's coming back. See, that's the thing, is I don't listen to a whole heck of a lot of pop music, but there are some bands that Kate listens to where I'm like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. Like, she showed me My Chemical Romance, and I'm like, these guys are legit. They sound like Green Day meets Queen. Like, this is super fun. And I'm the band that I'm failing to Arctic Monkeys. That's what it is, Arctic Monkeys. So it's not like my nephew Devin sounds exactly like this guy. I just mean that it has that sort of vibe where when you listen to the Lovely Color songs, you sort of get like lulled into this like, kind of loungy, sexy, like it just grabs you in that way. So if you guys like that kind of music, if you like the Arctic Monkeys, I would check out. I mean, shit, just check out Lovely Colors. Independent artists, man. These guys record everything themselves. They're pushing it themselves. I respect the hell out of that. These are the kinds of people I'm interested in interviewing, talking to them about what they create, but also talking about some of the other stuff they like and really like what rounds them out as people. So, whole bunch of stuff coming up in 2024. Nice. Tales from the Shelf is a big fan of Dave. The mood and atmosphere. No, it's a shit show. I love Dave. Love Dave to death. Yeah, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. Kate went to go make dinner a while ago, and she's probably sitting there thinking, where the hell is this guy? But thank you guys so much for coming by, hopping on the live stream. Big shout out to Allie. Allie, you're great. The engagement that you give is second to none, and it makes it so much easier to act like there's a million people out there when there are folks like you and Sabrina and Aaron and Chris and Tales from the Shelf that jump in here and engage with us. Lux Media was in the chat earlier. That was super cool to see them pop up. And yeah, I hope you guys all have a great what's left of 2023. I've been saying this a lot lately. To everybody, and I really mean it for everyone out there. I hope that 2024 is a happy, healthy year. I hope it brings blessings and so much joy to you and your family. I hope that you guys reach some goals that you want to achieve, and and that you enjoy the work that you have to put in along, like, on that path. I hope that you guys get what you want, but that it doesn't come without hard work, because I think it's just that much more delicious when it's been when it's been worked hard for. So, yeah, have a great rest of your 2023. Keep an eye out. I do want to kind of give a plug for my next video, if that's okay. The next video is going to be another episode of the Physical Media Show Off Show, but we're switching tracks yet again. So we covered vinyl for the first handful of episodes. Our last episode was Wolverine #1 from 1998. Guys, if you missed that, hop on over to the channel and check that out. I go through every single page. So I have the comic book. I took a picture with the Cam Scanner app so I could clean up every page. You could seriously pause it and read the comic if you've never checked it out yet. So check that out if you're a comic book fan. Written by Chris Claremont, the legend. Drawn by John Buscema, another legend. Like, this is really good stuff. So check that out. And coming up next, I've got a box set that is out of print, highly sought after, of a film whose pressings just go in and out. Like, sometimes you can find one, sometimes you can't. It was a very difficult film to find when I first saw it at age 17, and that is George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead Ultimate Edition. This thing is badass. There are 3 versions of the film in here. There's a disc that's just documentary. Now, these are DVDs because this came out in 2004, but this thing is awesome. It's kind of two-parter because we're going to take a look at the insides of the box set and talk about the film and all that a little bit, but I do want to show you guys really quick here that there's this little miniature comic in here. So we're going to go through the miniature comic, and I'm going to show you everything in there too, just like I did with Wolverine, okay? But here's the really cool part. The comic ends when they get to the mall. So the last frame of the comic is them basically saying, like, what the hell are we going to do now that we're at the mall? Here's the cool part. I have the entire comic book here. So if you guys like what you see in this episode of the Physical Media Show Off Show with showing off the box set, everything inside, this thing's really cool, and showing off the mini comic, we can take a look at the entire comic after. So you guys got to let me know in the comments what you think of the videos. Let me know if there's something that you want me to cover that I haven't covered, if it's like a different kind of medium. Here, I'll just kind of flip through this really quick for you. How the heck do I do this? Oh, tease. It's always tease, tease, tease. Yeah, so hop in the comments. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. I imagine everyone in here has subscribed. I thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you for subbing. 2023 has been, if you told me in July that by the end of the year I would be making videos with Cecil, I would have over 300 subs on my own channel, that I would have met these awesome folks and engaged with new people that live in, states away, I would have been like, yeah, that would be great. But I wouldn't have believed that I had what it took to do it. And really, the toughest part was just deciding to do it and shooting that first video. Because once I dove in, I knew there was no turning back. So I'll say that again. I talked about it a little bit earlier on in the stream. But, if there's something you've been waiting on that you want to do, just go ahead and do it. Get it going. Don't hold back. Don't let like no reason hold you back. You're always going to be busy. There's always going to be the couch that you could chill out on. And there's always going to be the phone you can scroll through. And I tell you what, once you start creating content, you're going to be scrolling through that phone, but with a different purpose, because you're going to be building relationships and engaging with people. It's going to be a lot more fulfilling than watching everyone else do the things you want to do. You're going to be actually doing them, and you'll be too busy with your own thing that FOMO, what's that? So thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate y'all. I love you guys. I hope that I can keep on taking this trajectory upward and give you guys, more and more reasons to come back, reasons to tell other people to check out the channel. And yeah, let's just keep going on this journey together. And yeah, you guys are making the channel what it is. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of 2023. And I hope you have the best 2024 possible. Take care. Wait, 1 minute. I have to do my thing. And until next time, I've been and will continue to be Davey Deathray. Take care.